Welcome back to the Geekset podcast, the only podcast that blend hip-hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces, and this is 101 with Deuces, the place where I speak with creators, curators, and people that you should know. And right now, man, we got somebody that is truly, truly dope. And if you are not familiar with his name and his work by now, oh, trust me when I tell you, in the future, this is going to be a household name. But we are speaking with the man, Sebastian Jones of Stranger Comics. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it on a Friday afternoon here, winding down from the week. Hanging out with you, Deuces. So yeah, thank you.
So again, as I tell everybody, that we give flowers on this podcast. We make sure people know that they're appreciated and loved. And I just want to say, with what you have done with Stranger Comics, being an indie comic, but being a staple in representation, showing, just Black heroes, showing just heroes from other different races, and for showing it in spaces that we were not normally in, right? I've had this conversation with a lot of actors and other people. It's like, man, I would love to get like a Game of Thrones style show, but It's just with Black characters, because I said we don't necessarily see that. It's always, we got to be stereotypical or beef it up. So, when I got introduced to your comics and your graphic novels and the things that I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing, because this is exactly what I was saying that I wanted. I wanted to see people that look like me as a warrior, and but it's not a warrior that got to be like, oh man, what up? Like it's it's because that's how they do us. They'll put us in situations where it's like, oh yeah, this warrior is in medieval times, but then they got like now stereotypical Black slang, and it's like, that's not what we're looking for. We can be in these spaces as well. So with that work that you are doing, it's just like, it's just been amazing. And then once I started diving into your story on why this holds such an importance to what you do, and why you have that staple on it, and we'll get into it. But I just want to salute you, let you know, man, that your fan base, of course, you feel it all the time when you go on live. But I wanted to make sure I personally tell you that, man, we appreciate the work that you're doing and everything that you're putting out.
Thank you so much. It's really, it's a lot of flowers, it smells nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. We, definitely strive to put forth stories that hold weight and have gravitas and depth of character and of the spirit. So sometimes when we see fantasy stuff or stuff in genre, it can at times feel a little cosmetic, like, oh, insert Black dude here, oh shit, we need a Black, like everything just feels like potentially a bit vacant, and that's where we wanted to just have authentic representation, but have layers and depths of layers within story. So the representation feels like, it's like, oh, these motherfuckers have been around since the jump off, and I can relate to them on a personal level as well. I can relate to them, on a soulful, resonant level. So yeah, without sounding like some preachy douchebag, but that's real. That's how it started and came about.
And that's another thing that I realized about you. So you are such a humble being that when you are just telling your story, you often throw in, I know I sound like a preachy douchebag, or I know I sound like but I want to let you know that you're not. Like, we love that about you. We see that humbleness. You're just in a space where you're like, okay, I know I sound like I'm talking too much about me. Like, we love that. And then in this space of like, where there's so much toxic masculinity, one of the things that I did love is that how you said you put your insecurities and your things that you felt that, and you made a strong Black woman character to kind of portray that, to be the opposite of what you, and it's like, you know how it is. Men, we don't necessarily say what our insecurities are, or us feeling down. So for you to say that, and not only say, but the strong version that I see in myself is a woman, because of, like that's amazing in itself, because like that's crossing boundaries.
Yeah, it's so funny. I hadn't actually thought of it like that. Thanks. Yeah, that's funny. So I hadn't put those dots together. I think being when I was super young, with Niobe, like creating this fantasy world. So I was super young, probably 13, puberty, kind of teenage age, and I grew up in a kind of a very, white, villagey kind of English setting, and I'm mixed, right? So my mom's from India, but there's a lot of, like we just. Like, oh, I just saw a picture of my great grandmother for the first time. It's like, oh yeah, she's a black woman. You see, like I'm like literally this Christmas time. And my grandma, had a big wild fro, and it was like, okay, we're mixed, but my mom came from India when she was very young, so we have no clue of our real heritage. But so I think me trying to find myself, I just turned 48 the other day, and my social is, But it's real, bro. Like straight up, like this is a while back, right? And so growing up, I think I was playing D&D and reading comics and discovering hip hop and James Brown, all this at the same time. And a lot of the kids at school, like some were real cool and some were cunts, and I just wanted to annihilate them. And English, that's a very English word, so apologies if that's
no, that's okay, man. We trust me. We understand.
But I think when I was creating this character, I was putting my inhibitions and my vulnerabilities and also my wrath onto her winged shoulders. And I think if you really take a step back, at the time it just was. But I take a step back and it's like, okay, Black women have taken on the burden of all of men's insecurities and vulnerabilities and propped all men up, since the jump. And so it kind of makes sense. And also she was mixed like me, but was trying to find her tribe.
Right.
And trying to find her place of like, okay, I can fit in here. I can fit with this motherfucker, this person, I don't know, this person I'm going to knock out, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but where do I belong? Oh, shit. Even when I get with my people that I belong, they're like, oh, no, dude, you're too light skinned, or you're like, oh, you got a British voice, or you're you got whatever it was, right? So I think those aspects of, and I think even no matter what tribe you come from, most people also have some kind of experience within that of just growing up, whether you're white, black, brown, whatever, like, okay, I'm hitting certain ages, where do I fit in? Right. And then when I leave the nest, I've left my family's nest. Okay, now I've got to go in search of a new tribe and a new people and a new this. Yeah, I can always come home. And then what about people that can't come home? And so with Niobe, I think when I was creating this fantasy world to escape, I think I wanted her to make this fantasy world I was creating a better place. So it felt a better, like, okay, shit, well, she can do this, that, and the other. And then as I got older, I grew, and I say, as I grew, she grew with me. And then I was like, oh, I can put these comics out. Maybe she can make our world a better place. Ding, So that really, that held a lot of weight with me, and the intention, not even intention, it just was. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I always say this, and I never create shit to be timely. I couldn't give a fuck about a hashtag trending. Doesn't mean shit. It's like, okay, I mean, it's good for awareness. Like, oh shit, look at that. Okay, cool. But then you create things to be timeless. You create something to be timeless, iconic, and then Black comics, Black fantasy has always been timely. So what the fuck? Why is it like, oh, well, it's timely now? Well done, like it's been timely for since the beginning of time. It's been timely. So,
but that's why I think your fan base is like, your supporters, your fan base, your tribe. That's what I think what we gravitate towards. So even now, like I just told you, like this is what I saw, and you said I didn't even think about that, right?
Yeah.
You know, obviously, when people first see you, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, who's this white guy doing this?" Right?
Right.
When they learn your story and then they actually hear you talk about the characters, you're not pandering, and I think that that's the biggest. There's authenticity. There's authentic.
Right.
You know, with it, it's like, oh, you know what? He didn't make these characters to be like, hey, look at me, I'm making a black character. No, he just made dope stories. And you know, same thing. You made a strong black woman character. You just now had the realization in our interview, like, oh, I didn't even think about that. You know, you made these drives. It's like it's one of those things where it's like it's very clear that you are not just doing things, pandering, you know, trying to be what they call a culture vulture now. Like you actually have passion into this. You actually have, you know, a connection to this. You are actually just wanting to tell dope stories and showcase this because you have a love for this story, this character, this world that you're building. And I think that's why, you know, you have had success so far because we see that and we love that.
But the pandering shit I think is always just a dangerous kind of thing for anybody because it's like by the time you're trying to catch up to a trend, like, oh shit, this is the 4-girl R&B group's hot right now. Quickly, let's get one. All right, cool. By the time you got that, okay, what's next? And like, oh, you know, I don't even understand that there's a crate. I don't give a fuck. You know, like these challenges that come along. I'm like, what the fuck is all this shit?
Don't put Niobe in the crate challenge.
I mean, I don't even know what that shit is, but you know what I'm saying? Like, go for a nice walk and with your girl or your dude or your they or whatever you're into, or you know, embrace life, you know, like, and how long are you going to wait for someone else to tell your story? How long are you going to wait for the man to tell your story? And I will clarify, it's a very interesting thing being mixed, right? Because you said I was white, which I'm definitely not. So
no. But I want to clarify. I didn't say that you were. I said when people first see you.
See me, right? Yes.
Yeah, just want to make sure.
No. You're all good. You're all good. So, but it's very interesting. So I did this thing when I was when I was younger, and a friend of mine was a college professor. Mm-hmm. And this is when my beard was a bit bigger, and maybe my hair was a bit even wilder and whatnot. And so I would sit at this classroom, and so I sit at the classroom. At the end of an hour, she would give out a pamphlet to all of her students, and it would say, "Who do you think this man is? Where do you think he's from? Do you think English is his first language?
Right?
What do you think his ethnic background is? What do you think this, that, and the other? Right? Okay." So when I was in like in a majority kind of inner city, whatever the fuck you want to call it, neighborhood, most of the black folks put down I was light-skinned or mixed, a couple of white, but mostly light-skinned or mixed or something. Most of the Latinos put down I was definitely a Latino. And then all the white people put down I was an Arab, because around the time it was 9/11. So it's a really interesting kind of thing that for the majority, not again, it was like, when I say majority, I'm like 95% of each group is like, oh, every person that is I don't want to say a minority, that's a fucking stupid word, but the anything other than European was like, oh, I don't know who this dude is, but I want to identify him just on the strength, right?
Right.
Now, and all the gay people put I was gay. All the Muslim people said I was Muslim. All the Jewish people said I was Jewish.
Oh, so they're trying to embrace.
Yes, there was a weird kind of thing that if there was no context, it was like, oh, maybe we want to connect. Right. Maybe there's a thing that we want to be able to connect with this dude. And my teacher friend, she was black, so maybe that there was a part of that too. You know, you can kind of read into it. But every gay dude said I was gay. Every it was like, oh shit, okay, we want to figure out how to connect with someone, but we don't know how. But as soon as we insert maybe
try to make a common denominator.
Yeah, exactly. But as soon as there's kind of like a different kind of context, if there's a sudden massive spin, like it's fascinating, bro. Like when I'm at conventions, and if I get black folk come up, they go like, "Can I ask you a question? I don't sound weird, but are you black?" I love that shit, man. I think it's just a way that you want to. I never find offense to any of that shit. I've just, or someone thinks I'm white. I just don't. I'm 40. I've heard it all. Like there's this one time I was walking down Melrose, and this Jewish guy walks past and he goes, Shabbat Shalom. And I'm like, oh, hello. And there's like literally 5 paces later, this Muslim cat walks by. He's like, Assalamu alaikum, my brother. I'm like, hello. So maybe I go from, it's a very strange kind of experience, and some, it's just been a unique journey for me. And I see, like how you're pointing this out, you just take steps back and go, okay, so what saved me in the boarding house was discovering James Brown's Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. And I'm 13, and my first night in the boarding house, I was tipped out of bed, the packy wog, spick, like stomped on by 18-year-old kids, like I'm 13, and one of which was an Indian boy, he's much darker than me. And he's like, psh, 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 but aren't you? Psh, 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 oh, psh, but aren't you?
That's confusing. It's like,
yeah, but this dude had been like jumped into the, you've had,
okay.
Oh, I'm just one of the guys now. I'm just one of the guys, and this is what happens if you're a minority dude, right? And then some people they try to commit suicide. I mean, it's crazy shit, because there's no escape, and the teachers are like, don't be a rat. I mean, I could go down a lot of those horror stories, but in those times you find out like who you are.
Yeah.
And and I don't necessarily say, oh, great job, I'm a fighter, because there are some guys that that aren't, and they're really tortured. They're really tortured, and it fucked with me. So I went out of my way to hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
And now I do my best with my writing. Now I don't do any of that shit. Just write.
But see, that's the thing. A lot of the times when you are faced with adversity or faced with just a horrible situation, you have an escape, right? So when going into your history and learning certain things, there was 2 moments that I really did enjoy, not necessarily in the pain of it, but what came of it, right? So one was this, the Stranger Comics and everything, where that came from, just you needing that escape, wanting to highlight that. Another thing that I really thought was dope is when I had the conversation with the blurred girl, this was a realization that I had, and you also echoed these same sentiments. You used to run a record label, and then you wanted to create this comic and this property and this project, but every company that you went to, you said that they only wanted to work with you during Black History Month. So you said, fuck that. I don't want that. I'm going to create this space where I can do this all year round. We can do it right. And I said, man, so when I was interviewing the blurred girl, she was saying that she would tell companies like, look, thank you for the opportunity for working with me during Black History Month. However, if this is the only job that you give me, I'm going to be the person that blasts you on Twitter. And I said, hey. So the reason why I had that realization is last year probably was one of our most successful years as the Geekset podcast. And a lot of companies worked with us during Black History Month. And though I was happy to represent, I didn't follow up with the do not let this be the only thing. And indeed, that has been the only thing that those companies has worked with us. And I said, so now I have changed that. Now I have adopted that sentiment, letting companies know, like, look, I appreciate you working with us. We love this opportunity. Don't let this be the only opportunity you give us, because it's like you need to have that speak out moment. And so like when I heard that part of your story about that, I said, that's amazing, because you were on that way back then, on that, like, what, I am not only doing Black History Month projects, and so I love that. I was like, that is amazing. And so, those are 2 moments, again, out of moments of adversity. You had this dope project, but only people wanted to work with you. You're like, no, I know this is bigger than just a Black History Month thing. And you was able to build and build upon that. So that's really dope of your story and your background, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, you could just, I mean, it, right? I mean, when you meet people and you say, okay, and no, like I don't really give too much of a fuck about, like so someone could be feeling they're doing good, right? Like, oh shit, I'm going to give you a spotlight, young man, during Black History Month. Oh, thank you very much. It's great. Otherwise wouldn't have a spotlight. And they feel like they're doing good at the capacity that their intellect or awareness will allow them to have or be. And so they can go home to the missus, oh, I met this guy and I'm going to give him a shot, you know, whatever the fuck that is, right? And so I don't knock it. And because other people are like straight up, they're quite blunt with the, I don't want anything to do with that shit. Or, so I just cool, that's your thing. But what I could tell was, it felt like that it was like, here's my announcement headline. Hey, I got this.
Right.
Right. All right. That looks good to the shareholders. And then when you think about the creation of the character, you got to protect the integrity and the spirit of the character that you're creating. So if someone else is going to be like, oh, okay, let's wheel her out during this one time period, or like, hey, shit, I got other stories I want to tell. Just whenever and whatever.
Right.
If you're already seeing Niobe as insert black, not getting to understand the culture of who she, of where she comes from, or who she is as a woman, as a girl, as a person, as a young person discovering themselves, and all these extra layers, and then do deep-rooted dives into her tradition of culture, then I couldn't really fuck with that, so I had to just go, okay, God, I don't ran a record label for a long time. I don't want to do another company, but to protect her, I'm going to have to. And this is the other crazy shit. And so I'd written this book called The Untamed. And The Untamed is where you first meet this character, Niobe. And the artist I was working with was a great artist. But a lot of times, he was, and no disrespect to him, in Sweden, he could be concerned that he was making Niobe too dark skinned or her features too full. I was like, she's black, dude. The fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. And then the guy, her mentor character, was meant to look a little bit more like me with a bit of a better tan, a bit more ambiguous. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm the anti-white savior guy. I fucking loathe that shit. And it was just a struggle. It was this dance, right? So then when we did Niobe, I was like, okay, I might be mixed, but I'm not a young girl. When we did Niobe, we did with Amanda Stenberg, I was like, I've got to have a young girl's voice help me co-write this age. Right. And I want to have a black female artist do the illustration. And we became the first in history with a black female author, artist, and hero when we did Niobe Shear's Life. And so I knew just me having these conversations with, nationally distributed that is, because there's other independents that have come before us, so shout out to them. But I just, I mean, like when you go to corporate, it's like, hey, we want to do this. And they're like, oh, that's nice. I mean, years beforehand, I was told by the old producer, like, I'll make The Untamed, or I'll make Dusu, this one right here. Yeah. I'll make that if you make Dusu a white dude. I'm like, right. So fast forward years later, here we are, making history and whatnot, and not for the intention of making history. Again, just to be like, you're just doing shit, and like, oh shit, it is. Oh, okay. Okay, that's sad. That's crazy. Well, like, and then Wakanda Forever comes out, and then everyone's, my God, this is great. And then you just do a little bit of digging, you're like, oh shit. Wow.
Well, and that's what I think is really dope about it, because like, so our actual first official connection was through the Hall. Once she shouted you out on my podcast, and I said, you know what? I definitely need to reach out to bro. I joined your live, and I was highly impressed. I was like, man, this is how you do a live stream. Like, it was an event. I was excited. It was like, because what I thought was really dope was you had, I believe it was either your press person or your editor, but like you were doing the live, and you're like, oh, fresh right here, and so you was just bringing stuff in. I'm like, yo, I've never been a part of a live like this. Like, it was truly an event, because it was just like you talking about what you guys are working on. There's like, oh, you know what? It felt like back in the day, like the sweepstakes, or like right. Like, all right, look here, we're gonna talk about this. Wait a minute, this hold off. Like it that, and I loved it so much, man. And I was like, okay, I really need to talk to him. And you was just so dope and humble. Like when I tagged you guys in it, you guys liked it, or you or whoever ran your social media page was like tagging
me. I'm that dude. I'm like the president and production assistant. I do it all, you know.
Not only am I the president, but then like you said, when I hopped in the live, you shouted me out, and you was just so like, and I was like, yo, this is really dope, because it was like, yo, this is indie creator, but this is somebody that is still connected with his people. And I love that so much, man, because it was like, with you, I mean, I know that you guys do a lot of crowdsourcing too, and
right.
And because of that, and I can see why you are successful, because you are a man of the people. Sometimes you get those creators where they crowdsource, but they don't really talk to their supporters. They don't really give out perks or anything. They don't have that connection. But I saw you. I mean, you're addressing people by name. You're talking. It's not just a, hey, shout out to such and such, and you're giving them at least a good 30 seconds to a minute. Like, hey, man, thank you. Hey, you should check this out. So it's like, I can see why you are successful with your crowdsourcing, because you're in that space of, you know what, I am creating, but these people are my people as well, and I need to make sure that they know that I appreciate them. And you know what, let's give them that. So it's like, again, through and through, man, I've been impressed with everything with Stranger Comics, man.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that massively. And it's funny, if I have a little low energy, I was doing one last night and then the big event on Saturday. But I think when it comes to this, bro, is like, if someone is going to take their time to spend an hour or 2 hours with you on a weekly basis, or they're going to invest $4 in a comic book, or in our case, sometimes they get the rare stuff, and they're not cheap. They're not cheap. That you honor that. I mean, it's the same way that otherwise do a different. I mean, for me at least, not to knock anybody, for me, do something else, because it's the same way where you pour your love and soul into the creations, right? They're like a child that you have to nurture, like, and the idea of the comic, or the idea of the characters, like, hey, mom, look, are you watching, mom? I'm over here, mom. And you're like, all right, I'll get to you. I'm just playing, I was playing video games right now. I'll get to you, kid. I'll get to you, right? So an idea is like that. It's just this kid that needs to be nurtured and loved and grown. So if you can pour that love into the work, and then hopefully people can read it and go like, oh shit, I'm getting more levels and layers to the read that I realized maybe even on the first read. Like, I came for the swords and the elves. I watched Game of Thrones, I like swords and elves, or I just come because I like seeing black people represented. I don't give a fuck what it is, I'm in. But hopefully then whatever brings you in, you go, oh, okay. And so I think what my intention, my hope or goal or whatever, is to say, all right, you're gonna read this shit, great, I'm gonna pour everything I'm into it. If you're gonna come on a live stream, or you're gonna meet me at a convention, or you're gonna just risk $4, you could have spent that $4 with a big company that you're like, maybe you only have $4 for the week, and you go like, all right, go to my comic shop, I'm gonna get my regular Spider-Man, and then you see a picture of Niobe, you're like, well, what is this? I got to make sure I give everything I can to that person that's going to risk their hard-earned dollar on something that I've done. And I think that's the same when it comes to then interacting with people. You could be watching, doing your fantasy football, could be watching the game, could be doing anything other than, listen to my, slightly filtered now British accent on a Thursday live, So what I can do is give,
Did I forget the clacker out there? I'm just gonna clap.
You have brought it too.
I know, I'm just gonna clap.
I'm mad, because I was definitely expecting you to get it.
I mean, I could quickly go grab it.
Just clap. 1, 2, 3.
All right, man. Welcome back to the Geekset podcast, the only podcast that blend hip-hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces in the building. With me, I got my man Liv.
What up? It's Liberace. It's the Puerto Rican Santa. The spiccato playing, beat making, motherfucking legendary ass Puerto Rican.
Sofrito Papi, and we back.
As always, I got my man Bacardi in the building.
Randolph today.
Konnichiwa, bitches. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
I hate all of this. I hate all of it.
What's good, everybody? How we doing today?
And we got Didge in the building.
What is happening, people? What's happening, people? What is happening, people? What is happening, people?
He's out the booth.
But it's like I said, we are expanding. We are doing more. So they say make sure you go to youtube.com/Geekset. Follow us on all social media at Geekset Podcast on every social media. And rating reviews in, man. We are rating reviewers on Facebook, rating reviewers on Apple iTunes, rating reviewers on Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever platform you're looking at. Give us some ratings, let us know. And then again, this is the only podcast that blend hip hop culture and geek culture together. We are out.
Peace.
Round
So-
2.
Also, speaking of moments that was just amazing and things like that, with so you guys you strike a deal with HBO to bring your creation to life and everything. And then you got some heavy hitters, man. You got some dope people that are shouting you out. Some dope people, Princess, Penny, like amazing. How did that connection happen?
Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, it was literally we had done a lot of conventions, a lot, and along the journey we had had a lot of people have interest in the world of Asunder, but it was the same kind of thing that I think like I say to other creators, like you think of it like this: you go, okay, I got this comic book. You come to my comic book for the first time, you go, oh, that's some cool shit. Let me check it out. You read it. Great, I'm into it. Oh my God, now is it going to be a show? Oh my God, amazing. But let's say you haven't come to me, right? You haven't seen it before.
Right.
And and I'm an independent comic company, so my reach is only so big. I don't know why I did that. That's suspect. My reach is only like a certain amount. And but you've seen it on TV, and you've seen it, and it's whack as shit. And it's whack, and you go like, oh, I just watched this thing. It's this fantasy thing, or whatever it is. It's kind of whack. Oh, you go to a convention, you go to a comic shop, and you go, oh, that's that whack shit I saw on TV. I'm not going to pick it up because your first impression and introduction as the general mainstream public will be for an indie outside of the comic fan base is if it becomes a television show. So for me, what I had done was I had turned down, I was always super thankful of any offer that came in, always. Didn't matter if it was crappy or good or decent or with some, something I didn't agree with. I was just always very thankful,
Right.
And but with the HBO situation, this lady I'd met, who is Amanda Stenberg's former manager, she had introduced me to a friend of hers that was at the time one of the heads of drama at HBO, and we went and pitched them. And I think his name is David Levine. He'd already read the books and had fallen in love with the books, and I have, I think, the advantage of going to lots of conventions, and I used to be an actor and model when I was young and pretty, so I was okay with auditioning. It didn't really faze me, so I just gave them a pitch. And they seemed to flip out for it, and then I had other offers at the same time that were interested, so just always super humbled by that.
Right.
And so that was that. And then when we got with HBO, we signed the deal. It wasn't just for Niobe or one project, it was for the
universe, right?
The universe, yeah. And all the people at HBO were very nice. Francesca and Kalia, like all these amazing people. So shout out to everyone at HBO. It felt like they wanted to do it right.
Right.
And some of these other places want to do it right too, but also for me to be an executive producer on the show, which as a creator now sometimes it's not easy to get. And then I met Prentice there, and so that that experience with working with Prentice was it's funny. It's one of these things like I write a lot. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty good at this shit, and then you meet Prentice and go, oh, I got a lot to learn. And so it's super. Amazing partner and amazing mentor. So very, very, yes, after a lot of horror stories running an independent comic company, very blessed to have met some incredible people in the right now of it all. So we're in development, and that's all I can really say.
No, I promise I won't pry because I understand that. But here's why I bring it up, and I think it's dope. Prentice right now, probably one of the most important shows that he's a part of with Insecure and Issa Rae, right? And one of the things that people love about the show, outside of just Issa's amazing personality, is the writing, the way that they write black men, the way that they write black women, the way that like Issa, she's not just a perfect, character. Like she has her flaws, her ups and downs, but also Jay Ellis and his character had his flaws and ups.
Big time.
So it's like the themes and everything, the stories, it was like it's true Black culture representation. So then seeing this and saying, oh my God, so now we got this person who did it in the real world.
Right.
Now this person's also attached to somebody who's been doing it amazing in the fantasy world. So now they're both collabing. It's like the excitement there.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, you got this graphic novel creator who's been doing it amazing, and what he's been doing is dope. You got this person we've been seeing his TV work has been dope. So it's like, yeah, man, the excitement there is high for sure. And I'm gonna extend my reach to let you know that whoever's involved with this project at any given time, you ever need a voice to amplify, you always have an open invitation on the Geekset podcast.
Thank you.
Because we definitely want to make sure that we continue to support, because that's the one thing that is like, again, as you said, there's a lot of people who have not been introduced to Stranger Comics, and so now is again that first representation of it. So it's like, oh, we're going to support, because if our viewers hadn't seen it, of the Geekset podcast, let me introduce you guys, and that's why I said let's get the source. Let's get Sebastian on here.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Well, it's funny. We did this. Here they are. This is before I had met Prentice. You've probably seen this. I had this lady Mimi had introduced me to HBO. She had managed to speak to somebody, I think, who was Issa's manager. So we had done these hip hop homages to some of our Niobe comics, and we had a few blank spaces. So after then, around the time I met Prentice, we put Prentice's face on. So it's all shiny. It's the foil edition. So you'll see there's Issa right there.
Oh, that's
Prentice.
When I was going through your hip hop covers, because I got the Deusu DMX one that you had sent me, which was, I was like, as soon as you posted, I said, all right, I need to buy that, and I purchased it. And then, but then I was looking at all of them, I was like, man, like your hip hop variant covers and everything like that are so dope. They are just, because it's like it's one, you chose some really dope albums. That's like that was I was highly impressed by as well. I was like, oh, these are like so I was like, okay, so obviously he loves hip hop, because 90s hip hop is like that golden era, and that was, and you chose some really dope comics. But that DMX one, I was just like, yo, this is amazing. I got it at home. I'm gonna bring it to the studio.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, it's so interesting. Like, so back in the days, so yeah, for folks in the chat, like we've got the Biggie Niobe Shears Death one, we got them regular, we got them in foil, and we've got the low end theory, low end Niobe. And this one we actually we called Niobe She Tribe. Yep. So we're like, instead of A Tribe Called Quest, She Tribe called Niobe for this one, Dawnlight Dreamers instead of Midnight Marauders. There's Viola Davis, who gave us the forward and the hardcover, name dropping like silly. But anyway, it's really, we got some good stuff. And for folks, you mentioned it earlier, we have a current Kickstarter running. We have a current campaign, which based on this comic book, Niobe and Dura, that I'm writing with Prentice. So the actual comic book Niobe and Dura I'm writing with Prentice Penny. This is the cover for it right here. So he's talking about like essentially the beauty and the majesty and the passing down of Black culture from elders to daughters. I love her doing the hair. Like
that image is a strong image, man. That is such strong imagery, and I think that's also amazing how you draw those. How you create those, because it's like you are highlighting Black culture, but you put it in such a majestic way, such a powerful way that like a lot of your covers are definitely like, oh, that is wall art, and I think that's also because I've always had this theory. I'm a doing music myself, indie artist. I always invested in how my covers look, because I said, right. Don't know me, the first thing it's gonna look at, I was like, I want at least the cover is like, at least I'm gonna give this a shot. Now with content to keep you, right? So when I look at your covers, I'm like, okay, this clearly invests investment in how these covers look, because now it's like, okay, if you don't know me, the first thing you say, oh, this looks pretty dope. Now it's up to your writing, the illustration, all that to keep them. But I'm at least give you a shot, you know.
Yes, yeah, dude, 100%. No, it's so interesting you say that, because like when we started Stranger Comics, it literally was going, okay, if I'm going to model it, kind of how I have my record label, I want something to feel like it's got weight, like the story has weight, the imagery has weight. You want to put this shit on your coffee table. You know, you feel like, or your mantelpiece or some shit, like, oh, I'm proud of this.
Yep.
Yeah, and it feels like it's like, oh, this is special. This is, and it resonates on that kind of like, oh, this is a culture. This is a movement of culture and a movement of strength that just happens to be a comic book, or just happens to be in fantasy, but you get the sense of that strength of movement. And speaking of 90s, what we did too on this new campaign is we have the new comic covers. So we have those ones that you've seen. These are the new ones. So you recognize.
Oh, yep. That is dope. That is really dope. And then again, another classic album. Like, that's an album, The Misadventures of Lauren, like that's an album you can listen to front and back. So it's like, right, you're like, all right, now let me really look into that.
and this feather right here is the same feather that's being tied into Niobe's hair on the other covers while her hair's being braided. And that's a symbolism of the tribe that she is trying to connect to. So there's layers to kind of like, for people that read the book, they're like, oh, that's cool, a quill instead of a pencil. And then when you start to read it, you go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, this has weight to it. And then the other one, of course, that we rock is this, is the...
that's fire. Oh, man. So again, even if you, like I said, you have wall art, and I think that is so amazing. But wait, I wanted to touch back on something you said with the feather, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the things, and I forgot which interview it was, but I thought it was really dope. So you have a LARPing background as well. But
yeah, big time.
And you partnered with a company that creates the weapons, right?
Yes.
Explaining the weapons, you were talking about the symbols on the sword, and but these symbols are also in the book. And I said, see, that's kind of like that. One of the reasons why Marvel and the MCU has been so dope is because you have to watch everything, because you're like, oh, that's a callback to that. Oh, wait a minute, this person's coming, right? So it's like invested in the world, because it's kind of like, if you listen to, like, okay, let's use hip hop for a sense, right? So let's like if you listen to I'm trying to think of a good example.
Keep it in the 90s.
Keep it in the 90s. Okay, we'll keep it in the 90s. We'll definitely keep it in the 90s, right? So I'm you're familiar with like Nelly, right? From
yeah, sure.
So when you listen to Nelly, you're gonna get like some good dancing music.
Sure.
Party. You're not dissecting every lyric like you are gonna do like a Nas or right. Like when you listen to Nas, okay, I gotta focus on what he's saying.
Oh yeah, yes.
That's the same thing with like your books. Is like when you said that, I said, so his world that he's creating, it's not let me just watch this world. It's like, wait, no, if you pay attention to certain things, you'll see from the merch, the fact that, I got this sword and it's just a really dope sword. No, look, this is actual stuff. And you're like, oh wait, this is the actual symbols. Oh, this is
right. I love the fact you pick up on that. Like, okay, so talk about the feather. Now we talk about the Erica homage.
Yeah.
This is painted, by the way, by Raheem Milton, who I met on Instagram. Amazing artist. Does a great covers for us. So this character's name is Dura. She's actually the same lady as this. It's kind of these two different artist interpretations. Right. She is the creator of the world of Asunder. So, and she's also the ancient of the butterfly to symbolize rebirth and being reborn and dying and reborn and dying and having to take on the weight of the world on her shoulders, Black women, etc. She is the caretaker of the world, the creator of the world. She is Dura, the ancient. And I was like, oh shit, wait a minute, because she's got butterfly wings. In the comics, I'm like, Erica's live album. Oh, wait a minute, it all ties in perfectly. Now, for folks that are readers, like that read the stuff and they go, okay, they're now seeing the new Niobe Dura comic. Oh, I think I've seen her before. Then they go back to Dusu, where you first meet Dura, but you don't realize, because I don't even drop any other hints, that she's the ancient of the butterfly. She can fly. She's rebirth. Any of that shit. she looks like a shaman with these elk horns. But then you go back to the very first page of Deuce, which came out the first issue in 2010, and you see a caterpillar on the first page.
Oh.
and then she's the one doing the voiceover, and we get to this scene where Deuce, there's more kind of Deuce actions, beautifully painted, but you kind of get to the scene here where she's continuing the lesson to the tribal kids about the journey of life, right? And so for my crew, they're like, what? You wait a minute, 10 years ago, so they start freaking out. Like, so yeah, the knock, if some readers read my shit and they go like, he's so melodramatic, which I am.
I want that in my creators. You
want to. I feel myself a little bit, but some are like, I want the plot up top. I need to know everything right away, which has been, if you see the shift in like the way how TV was in the 70s and the 80s, like the 90s, where you have Spike Lee or to Scorsese to whoever the fuck, right? It's like, I can peel back layers. Oh shit, there's a bunch of shit moments, like, and we have patience. Yeah. But nowadays, people are like, blah, blah, oh yeah, and I'm on this right now, da, 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 and then, TV's on, and you multiple distractions, so it's very difficult to kind of go, okay, just focus, and then, okay, now be present and be aware, and then otherwise you're going to miss it. So some of my detractors are like, it's not quick enough. It doesn't move quick enough. No. But that's, and I'm like, then that's, and I'm good. That's fine. It's just not your cup of tea, and that's no problem. But if you'll notice, a lot of times in TV shows now, what they'll do is they'll put all the plot up front. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, all this shit's happening. Okay, you understand the world in the beginning. All this stuff's happening. Okay, all right, okay, I guess I'm in. Now I can introduce the characters and you can fall in love with them, which I always do the flip of. I think it's more of like when you watch Star Wars, you didn't know all the shit. You had a great scroll at the beginning. All right, cool. But I still don't really know. I don't know Darth is Luke's dad. I don't know this. I don't know any of that spoilers. I'm just on for the journey. Like, all right, cool. I'm in. And then you just trust the integrity of the story. It doesn't matter that it's a.
And that's what I was going to say is like, yes, there's shows that do that where they put it all up front, but look at all the late breaking shows. Game of Thrones, that was a journey. Even though whatever you feel about that last season.
I loved it all. I don't care. Everyone hates it.
But that was a journey. The Wire, that was a journey, and that's one of the most critically acclaimed shows, right?
Yes, agreed.
The reason why we got so invested in the MCU, we knew the characters, but they took us on a journey. It's been, 15, 16 years, and we're still excited. We're like,
yes.
And it's because it's that journey you're doing. So it's like, yes, if you're going to get those few people like, no, I want it one and now, give me it all. But if you're trying to create something great, it's that, because this is what I do now. When I watch any Marvel property, I go to this channel called Screen Crush. They do 52 Easter eggs in this episode. I watch it.
Right.
And I watch their stuff. Then I go to Comic Story and let me find out about this Bat character story, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I've made the decision. I'm telling you this now, so that way when you see it, you know why. I'm going to be the Easter egg person for your comics.
No shit. Okay.
I'm like legit, because one, we're trying to create, as far as the Geekset podcast, and create new in adult content. And because I am that person that does that research and get into it, because now that I know that's exactly what you're doing with this world building, I'm going to be the person. I'm going to be doing videos like 50, this many.
That's great.
Of Niobe, and then talking about it and everything, because I think that is dope. Because then you get those people who are like me, that when they, let's say that they don't know about the comics, right? So then they watch the first episode on HBO and they're like, oh my God, what is this?
Right.
On that video, so they can go back like, wait, what? Okay, now I got to find the comic, because it leads you down that rabbit. That's the great thing about the internet rabbit hole. Like, yes, you sometimes you run into a weird rabbit hole where you're finding bunnies attacking other bunnies. You're like, wait, what? And now you're watching a bunch of but some of the good rabbit holes is, oh, you know what? I don't know about this character. Now I'm deep diving, going in. And now I'm more invested in the show because I'm like, oh, I cannot wait. Oh, wait a minute, you mean that caterpillar that was in episode 1 is now going to be like it's stuff like that I love so much, and so I'm gonna be that person for you, man. I'm gonna be the person.
Thank you. No, I love that, man. I actually love that. That's I mean, that's the stuff that moved me, like as a young avid comic reader, like it's the tie-ins. Oh, wait a minute, and these brilliant writers and creators like just have you hooked. And I also think when you bring up the MCU, I think to me, why Black Panther stands out, in addition to all the beautiful representation and so on, especially dark-skinned Black people, all this beautiful representation and so needed. It's like a fucking oasis in the desert of the universe. But I love the fact they stepped away from the infinity aspect of it all, and it was like it was here we are, where we're touching on things that are human relatable themes of mothers and sons, fathers and sons, and then you can take it a step further and say Mother Africa and the passage, and all these layers. So for some folks, I'm like, oh my God, it's just a great father and son, and brothers and so on, great, you've got a great family. And then for folks that, have some awareness of culture, and you got layers and layers and layers and layers. And I thought that was so beautiful of that movie, that it really moved me, that it didn't need to, if I'd never heard of T'Challa or Black Panther or the MCU, or it wasn't part of it, I still would have been, I'm fucking in, dude. Like I'm in, and I think that's the beauty of the genre, is it allows us to kind of embolden these points and these, create these wonderful metaphors for us. Like even with Niobe, bro, like some people were like, why did you have dreadlocks? And for me, I was like, well, it's very important as someone that is always trying to be in search of their tribe or their people. You often find people that are is she trying to do the most, or whatever the case is, but what is feeding her soul in order to stay connected somehow is to be as authentic to her people as possible. And then on top of that, when you start to learn more, the last memory she has of her mother is holding on to her mother's dreadlocks. It's the last memory she has. So she's holding on like these beautiful willow tree things coming down, like holding on to not only your ancestry and your culture, but also your mother. So that as you start to learn, the more and more you learn, it's not like, oh, that'd be cool. Representation is needed. We haven't had any characters, or enough, or too many characters with dreadlocks. And, and this is shit that came to me, years before Stranger Comics.
Right.
And so when coming back, to the top of the conversation, where you're like, okay, I'm shopping this around to comic companies, and some are cool, and some are really not, and some are really not. Like I'm not gonna fucking trust Niobe or Dusu or Dura, the creator of the world. Like, and then even when you meet creators, some other creators of color, like, you don't know what they're going through at the time. So I they're like, oh yeah, quickly, or oh, I don't want to be seen as a, everyone has their own journey. Yeah. So I just thought, it's gonna rise, it's gonna succeed, or it's gonna fall with me, and I'm all right with that. And also being ambiguous, I know a lot of people too are like, who's this motherfucker doing this shit? And so I take on a lot of that as well, which I can do, and sometimes it hurts, but I understand it and I appreciate where it's coming from. And then also I've dealt with like death threats from, white type, I've experienced a lot, a lot of that stuff. And, as you get older and you're, a dad and so on, you go, it really kind of, you've really got to honor the creations that you're making, but you've also got to honor not only the time that you're sacrificing and the investments. I ain't rich, still drive a fucking 2005 Scion, my kid calls it the box car, looks like a toaster. But you've also got to honor the time that your family could have spent with you. So, you know, so when I get now and again some hate, which is fine, you know, no one quite has necessarily a sense of the journey that you've gone on to get to the now. And, you know, so yeah, it's been wild, bro. And I was gonna say this, I was gonna give you the pitch, right? Because you're an Easter egg guy, all right? So this is the pitch I gave to HBO, and I'm gonna obviously segue off something quite dramatic, such as death threats and hate mail or whatever. But I will say the positive has been a lot more positive, like 90% positive, 10% okay. You know,
so but this is why your story and why I'm so glad that they kept you on as executive producer for it, because what you just explained and what you just talked about is, again, your journey, right? So there's emotional connection that you have with this, right? And so it's like, in order for this to be told the correct way, I'm going to have to be still included, right? Because it's like, okay, I can hand it over to some big wig exec, but you didn't get death threats. You didn't have people questioning your intentions. You didn't go through what I went through. So you're just going to put this out for a check, and you're not going to invest that love into it, right? So with you going through that now, and then now with you being that executive producer, you know, you can, your sole purpose is, I want to give this to the world. I want to show the world what I've been fighting so long to put out, right? And so that's why it's amazing that you are included in as executive producer, because now there's not going to be a divide, because, you know, you see that sometimes where it's like, oh man, I liked it when it was the graphic novel, but I don't know who these people, like, I don't
right. Hey, and you still don't know what the final the final reaction is. Now, you know, what's really interesting now, as opposed to even how it was 10 years ago, let's say, on social media, right? Where I did a post the other day on a bunch of groups. I was like, oh, maybe people would like to read this article I'd written for Afropunk a couple of years back. And it was about how I'd created Niobe and the journey of it. I sound kind of intelligent when I read it. I was like, oh shit, well done. And it was yeah, right. And I posted it as a throwback Thursday, because we were announcing this new comic with Prentice, and like, oh, maybe if people don't know, maybe if you want to read the journey of how it came about, click here. To this old article way before we did the HBO deal, just after Black Panther came out. And the irony was, so when I did the tag, I just did a cut and paste the link. There was a picture of Amandla and a picture of Niobe, and the picture of Niobe was, I'll show you, was this one.
How anytime that you're on camera, you have stuff right there.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm armed. I got stuff all around.
That's so much, and that it's funny because when I posted that I was about to do your interview with you, people knew the image before they even knew you.
Oh really? Oh good.
Like, oh wait a minute, I seen that. My mom, who's not even into comic books, when I got the stuff, like the DMX,
right.
And I think the other one was the Niobe one. And when I was opening, she was like, I've seen that somewhere. I'm like, where did you see this from? Like,
that's great.
Comic books like that. But that's the thing. That, again, your imagery is so important. It makes, like, if you're scrolling, you'll stop like, wait, what is that? Like,
that's how it is at the convention. I have a giant banner of this and another image as well. And I see people just going like they're trying to process it. And then they look at the booth and they're trying to see, are there black people in the booth? Or there's a mix of people here. What's going on? Is there a coup? I don't understand what's happening, but I kind of need to know. That was really important. And I bring that up is because on the link, on the auto link for Afropunk, you got Amandla's face and you got Niobe, right? And the majority of comments are like, oh my God, this is great. Or, some are like, oh, I've heard about this. Oh, this is getting to the screen. No one read the post. This is an article I'd written, back in the days. It was just, wait a minute, it's going to the screen. But there was a whole heap of, typical, a light-skinned chick is going to play Niobe, right? It's just, this is colorism. Yeah, and again, you understand where a lot of people are coming from, right? But it was like, oh shit, no one's even reading the post. They're seeing immediately Amandla, who's light-skinned and mixed, and Niobe, and this particular image of Niobe And I purposely make sure that when artists do different interpretations of Niobe, it's not always light skin or dark skin. I want artists to have certain interpretations of who she is. So any Black girl can see her and say, that's me. Cool. Right? Not to have such a canon of like how we have with Storm, like, okay, she's kind of light skinned. Why? Because she's from Kenya. That's fucking weird. Although there are light skinned people, of course. Yes, 100%. But if we're going to have one character, can we make a dark brown, please, and give her a fro or something? You know, yeah. And again, there are people with straight hair. So, sure, 100%. But what was really kind of it kind of fucked with me a bit because I was like, oh shit, I'm still, you know, you're never going to win. Oh, yeah. You're never going to please everybody, and people are so hurt. They're so hurt that they see this image and it's a knee-jerk reaction image. Oh, light-skinned girl and black and screen. Oh, is this that? Oh, I got a guy stopping up. He's dropping off literally right now 5 gigantic boxes of peanuts for packing. Oh my goodness. Can you hold on 1 second, bro? I have no staff here today. I let them all off today.
Okay, man. It's okay.
Okay. Thank you. Hello, bro. How are you? Good, man. Good. I'm in the middle of an interview at the moment. Is it okay you drop them just down here? Can I sign them? Oh, yeah, sure. Perfect. You want to sign something? Yeah. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. And I'll bring them in afterwards. Oh, yeah, perfect. You just leave them right here.
Easy for you, but can you put your
initial?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no worries. Your name.
My name's Sebastian. Did I do the right spot right there?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Sorry about that, bro.
Oh, it's no problem. This
is all happening at Stranger Comics, you know. But the other thing I was going to say was when we announced the HBO announcement, this was really concerning for me, was Mimi, my executive producer, had this photographer, incredible photographer, Tyler Shields, took a photo of me, which, funnily enough, David Mack used as the stranger. There's me right there in a hood with Niobe, just feeling very awkward about this, like.
Right.
Anyway, so there's this announcement with this I look like a Turkish vampire. I look crazy. So there's my image and there's Niobe like this, and I was really concerned. Like what I never wanted was the spotlights,
right?
Because I'm not important. The character in the story is important. And so like we've got this campaign going, and I was debating whether or not to do another Throwback Thursday, like, oh, this is when we announced, if you're interested, you know, you might want to jump on this new jump on the Kickstarter. But it's so stark, and my sincere kind of hope is, you know, when after seeing that knee-jerk reaction was just Amanda, who co-wrote Niobe, and one of those right, and one of the and in that first book, She Is Life, we modeled Niobe on her face. You know, this is obviously this one, right? Oh, the one that, right. So this is the Niobe She Is Life, and then the cover was by Hyung, who does the Last of Us video game, who also did that other cover. Hyung does She Is Life and She Is Death, and Ashley A. Woods does the interiors, and it really looks like Amanda Stenberg. And the reason being is because I took photos of Amanda in all the panels in the first couple of issues. But so now I'm like coming back to the point is having my face next to it was like, oh, am I ready for another slew of like, who the fuck is this guy? Right. Who are you? Oh God, typical, another white guy, you know, or is he white? Or oh, he looks Turkish or whatever the fuck, you know, but oh, and then other people are like, oh no, I know Sebastian Jones, he's great, or he's one of those down white, you know, like, or oh no, I think he's mixed, or you know what I'm saying, or like he's an ally. Wait a minute, I thought he was black. Like, and I'm reading all these comments going, I must get off the fucking social media. Yeah. Right? It's this, and it's like, and then, oh, why is it about me?
Right. When it should be about Niobe, you know?
It should be right. It should be about the celebration of, and I find this is the thing that kind of just to talk honestly and vulnerably is as much as I can empathize, as much as I can in my shoes empathize, because I'm not a mansplainer kind of dickhead. It kind of sucks that the focus is on as much of that as opposed to holy shit, that's a dope looking fucking comic.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a show. And then if you do have the visceral knee-jerk reaction of like, who the fuck is this guy? Or, oh, it's a light-skinned girl or whatever, to just do the extra click to go, oh, wait a minute. There's real intent, there's real love and sacrifice and soul and representation within the works as well. But that's also comes back to storytelling is people have like the short attention span. It's just everything's announcement, which comes back to the early days of when I was going to potentially not start Stranger Comics. Like these executives, they understand most people just go for the what's the photograph and then what's the headline? Because I didn't want, also being a dad, I didn't want my kid to see like a whole bunch of hate on and again like, and a lot of white hate, like, oh, I remember seeing this one post, and I'll give you the pitch of the Untamed because it's good. I remember seeing this one post, and shout out to this dude, I love it, is someone had posted the Niobe image on a group. And someone said, oh, this is nothing more than Lord of the Rings in blackface. I was like, what the fuck?
Right?
But I did not comment on it, right? I didn't say shit because I'm like, no, don't do it.
Don't give it power.
Don't give it any power, exactly. And then a bunch of other people did. And a lot of people knew me like, oh, no, this is so-and-so. And this guy had said, oh, I know who Brother Sebastian is. I actually buy all his comics. They're actually pretty good. But just because he hires black creators and does black characters doesn't make this a black comic. But, okay, fine. I don't know what a black comic necessarily is or the criteria, and maybe someone else does, or different people have different interpretations. But my intention was always never to be a black comic. My intention was to create these stories with black characters. Right. And I'm not putting a label on, and just make the stories I want to create with the characters I want to tell. And so then this guy that was really aggressive, and other people started sending me messages like, oh, you should defend yourself. I'm like, about what? Do I have to go into my history is this, and does that make me that, like, I don't fucking justify myself, but then it was what this chap said was, he goes, yeah, well, I've been writing comics for 37 years and we're very, and he was just it's just a defense mechanism out of someone feeling potentially hurt that maybe he had the same success or whatever it was, or didn't like the sound of my voice, or I don't know, but those types of things I'm so incredibly sensitive to, and I still to this day, sometimes I can deal with it in person. I can deal with it all day long, but somehow that disconnect, I don't know if it's PTSD from being at school and having not being accepted, but then also having a lot of violent interactions with white people and I laid out my teach. I mean, right. You have it. So I have my own experiences, but just because I had those experiences doesn't necessarily also make me black or part of this tribe or that tribe. For white people, it might be like, oh yeah, or maybe back then when I was probably more of a tan or whatever. But I don't know, or living in a village, in a white village as opposed to California. All the various whatevers. Has led me to the now, and it's incredible how it's still. Not all the time, but sometimes it's like, oh.
But here's the thing. Here's the light at the end of the tunnel of that story that you just told. And this is what it stands a testament to your writing and your intentions, right? You said that when that was there, you didn't shed no light on it, but there were people like, listen, this is not that, right? Because you didn't intend to make a black comic, I think that, or make the black comic, right? That's why the black community has gravitated towards it. Right. When you have somebody who, oh, this is my intention, right? And they just kind of do that, it does kind of feel like, okay, are you pandering? Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do that. We didn't look at it as a black comic. We like, oh, this is like, we see ourselves in it.
Right.
You're not creating a black comic. You're creating this fantasy world. And so
right.
That we have of it is like, okay, one, because think about it. Black people love Game of Thrones.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, right? But the one thing, we loved it just because of what it was. But the only knock to it is like, dang, we didn't really see us in it. So now we got this space. Right. It's funny because even though it's so much of a big representation, that's not the huge part of your fandom. The one is the writing, it's the stories, the imagery. That is the added, like, oh man, this story is good. This world is dope. But I also get to see myself in it. And though you have those people that pop in and say that, it has to feel good to know that you got a tribe.
Yes, it does.
No. Don't come over here with that negative energy because
right.
Because of this, whatever you saying, that's your own personal issues because we recognize this, And so it's like that's the light at the end of the tunnel is that you have such a good following that
I appreciate it. Yeah, and this isn't necessarily me just like some woe is me shit because I'm just being very honest with now being human like Erica Badu, I'm an artist, I'm sensitive about my shit. You're kind of sensitive, and there is a weight of responsibility too, right? Like straight up. So there was very intentional for me to write and create Black characters and characters of color. Because I also find too, and the world is huge. We have our Europes, we have our Africas, we have our various continents, Asians, and so on. But every time we've had, as to your note, a fantasy or even a sci-fi, it's like, all right, we're entering the European setting, the King Arthur kind of village or town or London or castles, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, and if there's Black folks or brown folks, I'm like, how do these motherfuckers get there? Like there's 3 of them. There's like 50 people and there's 3 Black people. How do these dudes get there? Are they, or is it like, oh, let's get some representation. We've got to fill a quota. You're like, oh, is this a production thing? What is this? Because do they migrate there? Were they this is the one Black baby we raised when we were visiting that one tribe, like all that kind of shit, right? And you go, it's kind of whack as shit to me.
Yeah.
So I'm all good watching them. It's like, all right, so just all white motherfuckers. Okay, well I don't want to watch Vikings unless there's some real weight and history and truth to how folks got there. Like, oh, we just insert one dude here, it just seems just weird, right? So for me, I wanted to introduce the world of Asunder in an inherently cultural Black setting. And that's the irony of The Untamed, is it's meant to be Morocco, so there's meant to be a lot more brown people, but doing a comic is not always easy.
I have high respect for it. It's like I'm one of those people that like, how, because there's always that person like, oh man, I can create a comic, and then you're like,
oh yeah, good luck.
But so it's like I never doubt any profession that I'm not in. I'm never the person like, oh, I can do that, because I'm like, no, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
Right.
Like, I sketch, but I'm like even just shading, I'm like, oh, that's like I suck at shading. I can't do that if my life saved it. And I'm like, to me, that's an art. Like, oh my God, like when I see people, I co-created these characters. Let me show. So
I see.
Yeah. So you can see them in the background.
Oh shit, that's cool.
So as part of the Geekset podcast, of course, I'm like, we got to create, right? So
that's cool. Characters,
but I outsourced somebody to create this, because I'm like, I can't do that. I can do that. And then I created the characters, but then I outsourced somebody to shade it, because I'm like, I know how to shade, but it was like, so that's the thing is that like I have such a high respect for every aspect of it. You know, even with like, you know, with your show, like, yes, you're the executive producer. I can't wait to see the costume designer. I can't wait to see who's the person that's going to, you know, help build the world, because one, I love world building.
Yes.
So outside of just the characters, now you got to create the setting. And I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see how that. I can't wait to see the cinema, the cinematry. I can't wait to see like I have such a high respect for just everything that goes into a creation of something. And so it's like, you know, I was like, I would never downplay anything that you guys do, because it's like it's so impressive to me.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, I tell you, it's, you know, it's my old man. He always used to say, just when you work with people, you know, work with people smarter than you know, like better than you at what you want to do. So, you know, like Daryl is an old friend of mine who I met through LARP, and he's an anthropology major. So he was like working as a loan officer for mortgages and shit. And I was like, it would always come and play D&D. And I was like, this motherfucker is a genius, creative genius. So he started, so like on the live last night, I mean, this was just one we sold last night. It's just
that's dope.
Just a quick ink sketch original on a Niobe Shear's life blank, you know. So there's been always like this checks and balances. So we take also an anthropological standpoint to be like, all right, if you're in this region of Africa, if you're a knight coming in plate mail armor, you're going to die at the end of the day because you're going to cook, right? Right, you know, it's just going to burn and cook, and that's it, you're done. So sometimes when we would see these fantasy shows where you read books, it's like, this doesn't really make too much sense. Like, you're in this setting, like, take that shit off. I don't get it, you know. So we really dig into like migration patterns, cultural patterns, how you eat. You know, our orcs are green because of this reason. You know, why do they have all those various things? So knowing what it is to be a geek, to want to know from the creator, like, why? Just the why of, I can be, oh shit, this is why. You know, as much as possible, and you know, not have to wing it. But what originally, and you touched on this earlier, which I thought was really astute, was the covers. The first thing that grabs your attention is the covers. Now, what we modeled Stranger Comics on was Blue Note Records. So Blue Note, the jazz record label from back in the days, had the most iconic covers. Prestige has some great stuff too, but it's like, oh shit, if someone gets a Stranger Comics book, I want them to feel like, oh, they can point out like, that's a Stranger Comics book. Bet. Taschen, the presentation for the hardcovers, and I've got some of these hardcovers here to show you guys. Of course, I bought some. Right, so these are like the 6 hardcovers that we have here, and these are kind of the weight of them. And in each one, I'll show you from the Deuces one, right? Each one, especially the special edition ones, they have like the,
oh, that's dope,
and in the gold foil and all that kind of stuff there, and they all have extra kind of stuff, right? So you really feel like you're getting some kind of journey from not just the covers and interiors, but also the inside front covers. Like, that's Niobe's choice between, is she taking the good, you know,
right,
side of the force, is she going on, you know. And then this, of course, is kind of the hint at the iconic Black Panther photograph. Yep. So I like playing with just things that just feel like they have weight. And if she follows this path, that's when Niobe's going to go from Shear's life to Shear's death to Shear's spirit to Shear's God. So there's a lot of symbolism, especially extra symbolism for Black folks to come and go, oh, wait a minute. And actually, when I met Prentice for the first time, he's like, is that the Black Panther? And I was like, yes. Okay. Literally, that was the irony is that was he won the audition. Like, just that was like, yes, okay, this guy. Okay. And he was so nice and humble and brilliant.
I would love to talk with him, man. He seems so dope.
He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. Yeah, you know, it's funny is, yeah, there's some things that I can't say, but when I can, I'll ping you and let you know.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of, so I modeled it on Taschen, on Blue Note, and on HBO, ironically, which is just the Wire, Deadwood, you know, all these freaking shows. I were like, oh shit, you know, if someone picks up a Stranger Comics book, they feel like they're getting something just a little bit like, yeah, this is my shit right here, boom, like, hey, come on in, there's my Stranger Comics shit right there, you know, like feel like you're part of something, right? You know, it's interesting too, we talked about this a bit earlier, is there is some I know is intentional, for sure. It is intentional that Black folks are represented. It's intentional that there's a weight to it. Because also I could say, you know, like when I was growing up, shit, unless there was a giant kind of company that was doing a beautiful box set on like Coltrane or Aretha or some stuff like that, where has that landscape been in the comic medium? Like, oh, where's the box set? Where is this prestigious, like, this is, I'll put my fucking, you know, teeth into this shit. You know, that felt like it was potentially missing. And so it was intentional. It had to be, it just had to be. And it's also how I fucking get down as well. Just otherwise I want to do something different, you know? So yeah, so that's kind of the birth of Stranger and the reasons why we do it.
What another thing that you're going to touch on, and this is probably why one of the reasons why I hold the Black Panther movie so heavily towards my heart. Growing up, you know, you see Star Wars, you see Star Trek, and you see people come out to movies cosplaying, right?
Oh yeah.
This was the first time that I saw an abundance of Black people coming out cosplaying within Black Panther, right? So knowing that you are building this world, and then also seeing at conventions, that first time that you saw somebody cosplay as one of your characters had to be like, that had to be crazy for you.
It was a trip, bro. I was at New York Comic Con and I was like, wait, Niobe's in the booth. And it was just such a bizarre statement, but it was like, oh, Niobe's in the booth. What's she doing here? Oh, wait a minute. This is, you know, I was probably on like day 4 or 5 of New York, you know, and when I sell, I go really, I'm a fucking maniac at conventions. It was so surreal. And it was a couple of months later, another girl cosplayed as Niobe, and she was about 10.
Oh,
and
man.
it was, yes, it was so it just hits you. Mm-hmm. And now we have, you know, incredible cosplayers, you know, all over the place. And a lot of the times it's elders that come up to me at these conventions, and maybe the elders brought their kid who's cosplaying as Niobe. And like even the cosplay on the Tribe Called Quest albums, one's the mum and one's the daughter on the Biggie. She had won a cosplay competition, and then, you know, amazing people. But the elders come up and they just grit and go, "Don't give up, young man. We're counting on you. You know, do as proud, blah, blah." And you're like, coming at that point is like, oh shit. There's real, coming back to the story, the creation and the art and the presentation, wanting to give the best effort I can. That's why I work like crazy hours, is understanding that if people are saying like this is the first they've seen X, Y, and Z, and there have been ElfQuest, and there has been lots of other things where you've got like, yeah, other folks being represented and so on, and absolutely, and I don't ever want to say like I'm the first, this and the other, because that's just a dick move. But if it is with the lead and the weight is being introduced, the weight of the world is on Niobe's shoulders and the rest of these Black characters that are the first introduction into the world, and that hasn't been done before, and not to do it because it hasn't been done before, because that's just stupid, but the weight of the responsibility is often reminded.
Yeah. And
that comes back to the every time we do something new, like the new Niobe Endura campaign, with the One Apprentice, I knew it had to be. I knew I wanted 3 covers with Dura braiding Niobe's hair in a setting. And one of my guys are like, "Fuck, we've got 3 of these covers. Can we just have one? Because we want an action one, we've got this and that." I'm like, "No, I want 3 of the same experience." So because I won't have the same visceral reaction, but I can tell you, I've had a lot of contact from Black women of different ages to go, "Oh my God, that spoke to me. I've never seen that in comics before. I need this. I need this on my wall. I need this in my life. What is this?" And then that then tells the story of the relationship with Dura and Niobe, that this mother or elder, this elder, matriarchal elder's relationship with this young person to pass on her burden to this other young Black woman, who's then got to carry the burden and the weight of the culture and the world, right? Which also plays into the themes of honest cultural representation within the stories that are also just on the surface, just hey, Dura's Obi-Wan, Niobe's Luke, they're on the run from this big bad villain that's trying to kill them, and oh shit, the dude is Dura's brother who's now an undead. Oh shit, that's crazy. Just on the fantasy tip, that's just on the surface, like, oh, that's crazy. So Luke and Obi-Wan on the run from Darth Vader, and at the end, Obi-Wan might realize like Luke might go to the dark side and might have to, oh shit, that's the pressure cooker. I want to read that. Cool. But the other layers too is where we try and and people might not get it right away, and that's fine too. But it's important for me to make sure it's there.
Let's get into some fun topics. I know we got to wrap up soon.
Okay, no worries.
Do your pitch. I want to.
Okay. Oh shit, yeah, I totally forgot. All right, so the pitch of The Untamed. This is where it all begins. All right, so here we go. This is a story of a man who's stuck in purgatory, and after 10 years, the devil comes along and he says, "I'll give you 7 days to reap the 7 souls that murdered you and your family." And he says, "Well, sign me up. I have nowhere else to be." He takes a drifter's return to a one-horse town in a huge world. And as his memory comes back in broken shards, he realizes he was a bad man and maybe he deserved to die, but now he's on a path to save his family. On his path of vengeance to save their soul, he meets a little elven girl, and her name is Niobe. And she reminds him of how old his murdered daughter would have been. Giving this man a second chance that we men need to be a good man or a father, but he only has 7 days. The kicker is, what if she's one of the 7 souls he has to collect? And the devil set the whole thing up just to find her. Would you damn your family to save the world, or would you damn the world to save your family? Because if Niobe can stay alive in this book that we spent nearly 10 years painting, 7 days, 7 souls, 7 issues, because I'm English, I'm slightly obnoxious, I try and be poetic.
Oh, man, that's a good.
Niobe can stay alive in this book. She will grow up to become our entire, trying to do it back to front here, our entire fantasy franchises. Here we go. Luke Skywalker.
Your imagery, man, I just love it so much. That picture, like, it's funny because, like, you with your imagery, like, you don't even have to have the pitch. So the pitch is it's just like it's a whole purpose. You got great pitch, great story, great imagery. Like, I can see why they jumped on like, oh my God. Like,
normally I'm able to hold the book up too, because I'll be like, oh, this is the world I spent 30 years creating. Now I'll ask you a question, bro. This is what I asked HBO and folks, and you probably see it a little easier here. See that guy down there with the 2 swords? Do you see what's holding him up?
Is that a hand?
The hand of the devil coming down.
Oh, that is great. That's like I said, that's those Easter eggs. That's those. Yeah, that is super dope. That is super dope.
And I'll give you a spoiler if you get the book. It's an easy spoiler, but we call him the Stranger because I was a huge Kurosawa fan. Yojimbo, Seven Samurai, Spaghetti Western, Sergio Leone. That's when I was watching Josie Wales last night. So it's always like the man with no name. It's always started Stranger Comics, or we call it Stranger Comics, the stranger, the lone stranger. And I was like, well, what's his name? What's his name? I'm like, it's there, it's right there. No one realized that his name is actually on the coin that he gives to the ferryman. It's on the cover.
Yeah. That's dope.
So lots of Easter eggs. And then we do fun stuff too that we just announced as well on the Kickstarter. Like
I saw that. That was the Sailor Moon. Were you
Sailor Moon homage?
Are you a big anime fan?
No, I mean, I love a certain amount of anime. I'm not, to be honest, bro, I don't have time. I don't do too much other than create. But I know that that's so, it resonates so much with certain folks. I was like, oh, and Ashley's art style is just so beautiful and whimsical and anime. that her art style, thought, oh, okay, the folks that love Sailor Moon are like, oh, you know, they'll resonate with that. So, and we do other homages too, like.
Oh, that's dope.
So there's our MF Doom homage, and then we do other homages too, like this, like video games. Like,
There's no, I didn't.
Altered Beast and Zelda. And for folks in the chat that are wondering about the Deusu, this is what Deuces is talking about. These are actually the gold editions of these. Like
that is so. When soon as you pulled it up, I said, okay, I need that.
Yeah, right.
So I got a fun topic that I thought about because you have that LARPing background, big LARPing.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people has not done LARPing. If you could choose 5 people, it could be like celebrities, historical people. Who would you love to do some LARPing with? Who do you think would be dope to do LARPing with? It doesn't have to be.
That's awesome. Okay, first person that comes to mind. I don't know why. Maybe it's just I probably think they're just prophets to me, and their personalities are so. So anyway, first person comes to mind is Malcolm X. Next person is Nina Simone.
Okay.
So you got, Nina Simone, the high priestess of soul. Maybe she could be a cleric, a priest, some spiritual healer. Next person is Coltrane for the wisdom. Oh shit. Wow. 5 people. Good Lord. Those are first 3. Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee.
Oh, that'd be a good group. That'd be a really good group.
I mean, I probably should have thought of someone like, what's his name, Miyamoto Musashi, the great Japanese swordsman that can fight with 2 swords. Like real warrior. But I'm like, as far as just the spirit of personalities, yeah. Like, and Bruce, Bruce is. That's
what I'm saying. Like, that's why I say it's a good group, because you'll have such strong personalities, but then they got to get into character, so they got to, whatever it is. So so that'd be really dope to see, man. Yeah, because I was thinking about that. One of the things that we're going to eventually dive into, we want to start a series called Geekset Does. So like for the most part, we're all into like video game, anime, comic books, right? Now we have no history in like D&D, LARPing.
Oh wow.
And so I was like, I want to dive into that world because it's so interesting, right? So I was like, I want to do Geekset Does is a show where we are just producing and doing it. So it's like, I was like, I've always thought about like, man, watching content with LARPing and everything. Supernatural was one of my favorite shows, and they had a character in there, and she was all about LARPing and everything.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Like, this episode was so dope. So it was really dope. All right, so another 5, and this again doesn't have to be in order. I know that Incredible Hulk is one of your favorite characters. You read it as a kid. Comic book characters, 5 comic book characters that you love.
Storm, Black Panther, Wolverine. If we're not including the Hulk, Storm, Black Panther, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and I just throw out The Thing. I love The Thing. There was just something grounded about him.
Yeah, no, I definitely do like him. All right, so the last thing that we do, it's called recommendations, right?
Okay.
You recommend that our listeners either watch, listen to, read, something that you think that they would be interested in.
Niobe She's Life. Go to strangercomics.com. That's a big move. Okay, what I recommend is so this is something that is really helped me over the holidays when I had a lot of loss. I had a lot of loss, COVID and stuff, like 3 around the holidays. Very brutal time. What got me through was discovering this poem that my dad had given me when I was a teenager, and it suddenly appeared on my YouTube feed, and it's the poem "If" by Rudyard Kipling. And if you know Nas's Major Look, he actually in the music video, there's a piece from the actual "If" poem from Kipling. But Yeah, so if you go to Major Look, and you'll see at the beginning, if you can walk with crowds and not lose your virtue, walk with kings, not lose the common touch. But the poem is literally, it gave me so much courage and strength during the most savage time and one of the most unhappy times of my life. So the poem "If" by Rudyard Kipling, it's on YouTube. There's some amazing voice speaks it. There's that. I'll give you two other things real quick. All right, it sounds so melodramatic. Again, listen to Alice Coltrane, John Coltrane's wife, Journey in Satchidananda. Journey in Satchidananda to me is I was like, I don't believe in God or anything like that until I heard that song. That changed my whole life. Journey in Satchidananda by Alice Coltrane is the shit. It's epic. And then in a different medium, so that you've got some written. Obviously, you're going to listen. If you haven't read the autobiography of Malcolm X, that changed my life too. Read that. And in film, if you haven't seen it, watch Crooklyn. So if you haven't seen it, it still astounds me how people have not seen Crooklyn. So Crooklyn to me is a perfect film, a family, and If is a perfect poem, and Journey in Satchidananda is a perfect song.
All right. So where can my people find you at, man?
So yeah, you guys can find me at strangercomics.com and at strangercomics and all the socials. Slide into my proverbials, I'll say hello. Strangercomics.com at strangercomics, and you'll see. And if you want to jump to the Kickstarter, it's actually on. The links are all there, and we're doing pretty good.
I'll put the links down below for sure.
Thank you so much.
Well, as always, man, this has been 101 with Deuces, the place where I speak with curators, creators, and people that you should know. I've been your boy Deuces. This has been Sebastian of Stranger Things, and we are out.
Victory.